Pierce and Che Tafari star in the new film Little Women. Thank you both so much for your time today.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Yes.
Brooke, let's go ahead and start. When you read the script, what was your first impression?
Yeah, so when I first read the script, I really thought pigeon racing. I was like, is this a real sport? I was like, oh my gosh. And so I started reading it and I was like, whoa, this is actually so cool. And the more I read it, though, the really thing that compelled me was that this was a story and a character that felt real, felt like something that I hadn't seen or watched or read in a really long time. And I was excited. I was so excited to finally be reading a story for 13-year-old girls my age that talks about mental health and isn't afraid to talk about it. And so when I read the script, I literally turned to my parents and I was like, yes, 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 definitely.
Yes. Weird is there's so many superhero movies and it's so many TV shows where there's two best friends that go on a journey. Tell me a little bit about what you channeled to bring Adam to the screen.
Really, I was actually looking at myself, really. I mean, I have a lot in common with Adam. I mean, we're both enthusiasts. Whenever we get into something, we'll do all the research about it. And you really see that in Adam, when he goes all out with the pigeons and everything like that. So I mean, that's me too. I mean, I went all out with the pigeons as well.
Yeah, he did. He really
we were just
outshined me.
Brooke-
Made me look like
yeah, but yeah, I was
You
just
both
really
found a
trying
brand
to-
new hobby, because of this movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah, my mom said I could get pigeons if we got a bigger house. So
let's get that bigger house.
that's it. We're looking for land, y'all.
There you go. Brooke, let's talk a little bit about Kaitlyn and what she's going through because, like you mentioned, especially young girls and children of divorce, and it's always a hard thing to go through. And sometimes you don't have those resources that an adult has. And maybe if you watch a TV show or a movie or read a book, that you can identify your feelings with something. I mean, talk a little bit about that process, especially being, maybe a saving grace for so many young kids that are going to be watching this movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, mental health is a normal part of life. And I think that for a lot of 13-year-olds, when, you come into 13, you're excited, but you're not prepared for what's coming at all. And especially girls, when they turn 13, they start to be aware of themselves, the changes that are happening physically, mentally, the people around them, what people think starts to matter, and it can matter almost too much. And I think that making it a normal thing to talk about and processing those big emotions, because when you turn 13, everything just feels, talking from experience, everything just feels so big. It feels like every little thing is so big. And to adults or people who are a little bit more grown up or have been through that, it's not as big. But to us, we're just experiencing these huge realizations and feelings for the first time. And I think being able to talk to kids my age, especially girls my age, and be like, look, I get it. And I know what it's like. You're not alone. Please just talk to anybody and surround yourself with people who support you, because you will get through this, I think is such an important message to tell to kids these days.
That is so important because I think, so many times you go through something and then you look in the rearview mirror, but you forget about what it was like, that time when you're in grade school, going to high school, your body's changing, relationships are changing, you maybe not have the same friends, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
And Che, maybe what did you learn about maybe the process that Brooklyn was going through, and, maybe you going through a similar journey?
Well, I definitely learned that, I guess Brooklyn's journey, she's very a resilient person. And, I just totally respect her for everything that she does. And, I think for me, I've gone through, I guess, some of the same things, as in I've lost a couple friends, I've gone to certain things. And right now, even stuff as little as oh my gosh, I have this one problem to do on this math assignment. My God, it looks so big. I can't get it done. And,
Oh yeah.
And
then you have a teenage freak out.
Yeah. Then,
Yeah.
And then I look back and I'm like, oh my God, why am I freaking out? And so I'm definitely going through a lot of those same things, and I think it's it exposes, like, when you're acting it out, it exposes how you actually look or actually how you feel about certain things.
Yeah.
And then it actually shows you, it's like, wait, this is gonna be okay. I'm like, I know what to do from here. I know how to take that step forward,
Yeah.
and actually acting it out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. And then final thing here, Brian Cox. Let's have both of you. What about working with him in the film? Brooklyn, want to go ahead and start?
Yeah. So working with Brian, I was really not I was like really nervous because my mom was just like, Brian Cox is so good, and he is. And like literally my mom was like, she's a fangirl of Brian Cox, okay? And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. So working with him at first, I felt like it was kind of like I had to like step up, and I felt really nervous and anxious, but then he really just made sure that like we in the scene were partners and that we could work together and feed off of each other. And honestly, there would be moments in the scene where I'd be like, wow, this feels so real. It wouldn't be like Jan and Kaitlyn anymore. It would be Brian and Brooklyn. And it was absolutely crazy and an experience I will never forget. But Brian just gives almost the best life advice ever. And it comes out of nowhere, but you take it because it's like the most life-changing advice. And he just like willingly gives it out to people like free samples at the mall. Like it's so great.
Well, I hope your mom got a selfie or an autograph or something as well.
My mom is my acting coach. So basically all my performances I do, she's responsible for. She's the mastermind behind it all. And my Brian went up to her and was like, you are doing such a great job. You know, you're a great mother and acting coach, and was just extremely highly complimentary of her. And she was like, oh, thank you, Brian, like playing it cool. And then we got back in the trailer and she was like, Cox complimenting me.
Yeah, I mean the same thing. I
What about
was
for you, Chet?
really, yeah, oh yeah, I was really intimidated by him at first, because my first scene, the first time I met him was the scene when he was like grabbing me on the rooftop. That was the very first that was the first time I ever met him on the rooftop. So I was really intimidated. I was like, and I know, like, I'm a big fan of Brian Cox. So I mean, like, just like, I guess just seeing this icon, just seeing this legend, just like, like hemming me up like by the shirt and just like yelling at me. I was like, this is amazing. Oh my God, I'm scared. It's like, like, but I mean, it's like afterwards, and then it's like I talk to him and everything like that, and same thing. It like this advice comes out of
nowhere, but it's awesome.
I felt like I have to have like a notebook to just make sure that I'm like
Brian Cox's life advice.
Yeah, Brian Cox's life advice. I'm like, yeah, it's like I'll be talking about sandwiches, and then he just brings up like some great metaphor about sandwiches, and I'm like, yeah.
Awesome. That is amazing. Thank you both so much for your time today. Little Wing now streaming on Paramount Plus.